I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 431st episode of the Political Spotlight. I'm your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. It's good to be with you. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are watching from, whether you're here on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook. Remember, if you're here from Facebook, Facebook will be changing things on June 29th, so don't get too used to it. And if you need help finding us on another platform, let me know. We will do what we can. Whether you're here live or you're here via replay in the future, thank you. Please smash that like button. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. Subscription is absolutely free on YouTube, Rumble, or any place else that you can find us. If you are here live and you want to comment over here on this side. You know what to do. If you're here in the future and you want to add a comment down below, and we can get back with you and interact with you as much as possible. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday, and I tell you, I've been watching state government today since, well, it started in earnest with the teacher ordeal down there at about 10, 11 o'clock this morning. I've been following along with what's been going on down there, and both the House and the Senate, State House and State Senate were supposed to meet and be in session today. Both sides kept pushing it back, and that's because they couldn't go into session. They couldn't leave their respective hidey holes until all of the teachers had cleared out, because heaven forbid we have any cross-contamination between elected officials and their actual employers. You know, whether you agree with the teachers union or not, whatever the situation is there, look, they are all constituents, and we never want our elected officials to actually have to get close to the constituents. They don't like that. So they kept everybody hid until all the teachers had been shooed out and back to the buses, and they weren't really there in buses, but back to their cars out of the building and heading home. And they got started, and the Senate has been at it since right at about 10 till 4. And let's see here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So for about 5 hours, they kept hearing amendments to House Bill 1001, the budget. And it's just been a horrible, horrible situation. They are nowhere close to getting to Senate Bill 1. They have a lot more they have to get to. And Senate Bill 1 is actually what we're going to be talking about. We've been talking about it for a while. We're going to continue talking about it. I want to just show you just briefly kind of what we're dealing with here for 1 second before we bring up our special guests. So here's what's going on with here's what's going on down at the State House. They've been doing this, going at 5-6 hours now. You can see up at the top, they are on House Bill 1461. Okay. Well, if we get over here and we look at their calendar, you can see they were supposed to start at 1:30. They didn't actually start until about 10 till 4. Here was the House Bill 1001. It had 73 amendments. So this has been the majority of the day. And then at about maybe 8 o'clock, 8:30, they got through it. And then from 8:30 until now, they went through House Bill 1003, 1004, 1098, 1111, ACA, 1113, 1128, 1144, 1221, 1225, 1226, 1389, 1391, 1427, 1455. And they are now on House Bill 1461. You can see here it has 13 amendments. They've got to get through the rest of these. Then they will go into House bills on third reading. They will get through all of these pretty quickly on the third reading. And then we will go into where you see Rule 82E, concurrence is eligible for action, Senate Bill 1, and that's where it is, ladies and gentlemen. So that'll be what's going on. I don't know if that'll be while we're on air or not. I'll be monitoring that, but we'll cover that tomorrow. Today, though, however, we do have a very, very, very big day. We've got 2 guests on. These guests are 2 school board members from Union School Corporation. And all week I've been dealing with one or the other of these and confusing them up. We even went through it beforehand, and I was like, oh yeah, I can take care of this. This is no big deal. And now I'm nervous that I'm going to screw it up because they're not how we thought they would be as I put them down below. So one of these ladies is Christa, and the other is Christie. And so we'll bring them up and we'll let them identify themselves. Oh, I see their names right down below. So Krista Ellis, we'll bring her up first. Here's Krista Ellis. Thank you. And here's Christie. Is it Ogden?
Ogden.
Okay. So Ogden. So thank you for joining us. And thank you for being here. So Christa, you've been a school board member since 2012, and Christie, you've been on the school board since 2015. And so, I thought that probably the best thing that we could do, because there's been a lot said about this, a lot good and bad, and the bottom line is just trying to get an understanding of what's going on, and from you guys' perspective, like what you think's happening, and maybe you can kind of lay out the information about the school and what you guys think's going on. So whichever one of you wants to start, what do you think? What currently is the issue for people that maybe haven't heard about this? What do you think is currently going on here?
Christa, do you want to go ahead and start?
Okay, Christa, you take it away.
Yeah, I want to clarify. I ran in 2012. I guess I actually came onto the board in 2013. So I told you wrong before. But what's going on? I mean, we don't even know what's going on because we don't know why we're this personal vendetta for these 2 representatives that we're their constituents, and instead they have some personal vendetta against our school, which is we don't know. Like, I hope you can tell us what's going on, or somebody can tell us what's going on. I mean, a lot of people are giving us ideas of what might be going on, but I mean, your guess is as good as ours.
I personally feel like we're living back in 2015 all over again, because there was a group that was trying to close us in 2015 and we never got to the bottom of that. Fortunately, we were able to save the school, and I honestly didn't think we would be sitting here tonight talking about it. I mean, we're financially stable. Our teachers are doing an excellent job. Our kids are happy. We're educating students in every county in the state of Indiana, but for some reason we're under attack.
Okay, so that's probably a pretty good place. That's probably a pretty good place to start. So, first of all, let me ask you, for the people that are not familiar with how your school operates, can you explain what's different about your school than, say, Delaware Community School Corporation, or say, Cowan or Daleville? What's difference with what's going on in your school corporation?
I think you have to go back to 2015 to really understand our story. At that time, our current board, which Christa was a part of, she was not supporting school consolidation, but they were trying to close us at that time because they said that we just didn't have the money. We were going to be broke, and they didn't want to find a solution to that. They felt like it was just going to be easier to consolidate. So we got Teresa Green and myself, and we ran against two of the board members, and we won the election. So we get on there and we're trying to figure out ways to become solvent, financially solvent. And there were jokes by, of course, the prior board.
Uh-oh. We lost her there.
Okay, you want me to pick up?
Keep going.
Oh, no, sorry. There she is. Sorry. We lost you just for 1 second. Pause there. We had a
okay,
small
what
glitch. So what instead of being closed down at that time, what happened that stopped you from being able to be closed down?
So first, we did a few creative things, but the main thing was we decided to explore virtual education. And we started with INDLS. Our partnership with INDLS, the contract that we signed was that Union would retain 5% of the funding in our operation fund. And at the time, we didn't have very many students when we first started. Really, we were talking about just a few hundred students when we first started INDLS. And then, I remember at one board meeting, we actually capped it at 4,000 students, and then COVID happened. And INDLS said, listen, guys, we need you to lift that cap, which we went ahead and lifted because kids all over the state of Indiana needed to be educated. So we made that decision and we did that. In hindsight, though, we probably shouldn't have done that, because I feel like that's really why we're under attack, because we were so successful at it. And you start educating 9,000 children, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait a second. You guys are making money. You guys played by the rules. You're financially solvent. And now we're going to take the ball and we're going to go home. You did too good. We probably should have kept our cap at 4,000.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. So, okay. So, I mean, I'll be honest. I have heard, I think I told, I don't know who I originally heard this from, but, I had always heard that maybe there was something going on that, they pad their numbers, or they're not really at 9,000, yada, yada, yada. And I've been told that you guys' numbers are what they are. Explain a little bit about how that works. So, because I've been hearing complaints from folks that say, well, you've only got 350 actual students. You've got these 9,000, the whole teacher versus school student ratio. How does that work exactly?
They employ a few hundred teachers. And so INDLS is live instruction to this. I mean, they're in a classroom. My two younger kids have been primarily on INDLS, taking their classes through INDLS. And it's a live classroom. The teacher is live on the screen in a lot of the same way that you are. and they're teaching or they're sharing their screen. And so like in math, they'll be sharing their screen and there's a math problem up there and they're going through that the same way a teacher would on a chalkboard, or I think they do dry erase nowadays. But so there's a chat on the side similar to this.
Sure.
So the kids are asking questions in real time to the teacher, and they have a lot of other tools in that classroom. They have polling tools, and that is very, very engaging. And so I have an elementary ed degree, and I know from being in front of a classroom that half the class can be zoned out at any time and they're not paying attention. But these teachers will have a poll up there and the kids are supposed to be answering the question that pertains to the lesson. And if they aren't, they'll be like, I can hear them saying to my daughter, Glory, I don't have your answer yet. Where's your answer? And then the class knows right then, like 25% answered incorrectly and 75% answered correctly or whatever. And so there's actually a lot less chance to just be zoning out in that classroom than in a traditional classroom, because I know in a traditional classroom, a lot of times one kid is raising their hand every time answering the question because they know the answer, and everyone's having to answer in some way. And I don't think people realize that's, and the attendance is tracked. It's very easy to track who is on there. Sure. And they're automatically kicked. If they go 10 days without like someone knowing why they're not there, they're sick or something. Like if they're in the hospital, of course, they wouldn't be kicked out. But if they go 10 days without it, they are kicked out. They are expelled. Like that's the law. And I know that people think they've said, oh, we have ghost students because another school did have ghost students, but we've been audited over 20 times. One of those audits we paid for ourselves because we wanted to make sure that we weren't doing anything that could get us in trouble later. And all our audits have been clean. Like they audit our attendance and our enrollment all the time. They audit our finances all the time. We just finished our regular every other year audit, but we've just been audited so many times since we've had this program.
Yeah. So, and those audits have proven that you guys have been above board, or everything's been good to go.
Yes.
So how many, I guess there's roughly 300 some students that are actually in a physical building or buildings during the day. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And the, as far as, and we're going to get into kind of what's happened here and what JD's saying here. I just want to try to get through some of the things that people have been saying over the last few days. So as far as your scores, I mean, I don't know if you guys are capable of talking about where you fall. Are you on the lower end, the higher end, right in the middle? What's going on with your scores compared to other schools in the state?
If you want to talk about our testing scores, and that's kind of been my argument to them, is that when they look at our data, they're combining our three schools together. So they're looking at INDLS, our in-building kids, and then also our alternative school kids all together. They're just looking at all of that data together. And when you do that, it isn't going to look as great as if you just looked at it as our in-building students. Not only that, they haven't been using any state testing for 6 years as far as accountability standards go. If you would actually
anywhere for anywhere,
right, for anyone, for anywhere. But if you would actually look at our student growth, because that's another thing that we need to talk about, is that a lot of these kids, when we get them, they're in the 5th or 10th percentile. Their school that they've left has essentially been failing them. And so our growth is actually astonishing. We can take that kid that was at 5%, the very first year, up to possibly, 25 and then 50% the next year. So it's a building process. If they would actually evaluate students based on growth, you would see how successful our program is.
Okay, that's interesting. So,
and someone did show me the metrics today off the dashboard for, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm just going to share it, for the school that JD's kids attend. And there was a portion of their math scores that was at 8% proficiency. So, I mean, if you look all over the state, the scores are bad. Since we've switched to this test, our superintendent he was a classroom teacher. He would have like 100% pass rate year after year. And when they switched to this test, he was like 36. So it's a bad test. They know it's a bad test. That's why the accountability has been dropped. but now they're going to suddenly hold one single school in Indiana to it. There are lots of charters, performing more poorly than we are, but they want to start more charters. And I was on the board of a charter before this, so I am not anti-charter, but if we're going to start ending schools, that needs to be looked at too. I mean, that's not a fair playing field if we're the only school being held to performance.
Yeah. And so that's interesting. So, okay. So when is the first time that either one of you or both of you heard about what's currently happening with this situation with Senate Bill 1?
The day it entered the Ways and Means Committee, that morning.
So Monday's the first. I mean, so Monday's the first
Monday.
time. Okay, that you heard anything about this in the current way that it is.
We had that meeting with Alexander and with JD the Friday before, but we left that meeting not knowing exactly what they were going to do.
Okay,
they kind of left us with this, show us your data of growth. And so we put our principles on that right away, but Monday morning, the amendment went in. So how much time were we supposed to have to gather that?
Right. So it was almost like you guys felt as if this was something that you guys were talking through in a process and there wasn't anything one way or another happening. And then all of a sudden you wake up Monday morning and find out, well, this has been put in this amendment, and it's like, bam, here we are.
Yeah. And when I was going through college for education, it was during all of the Public Law 221 stuff where schools were going to be held accountable for their testing. But it was like a 6-year process or something. And if you didn't improve, then you were put on an improvement plan. And then you had so many years after that. And then every time they do this, they go through this cycle in education, and they'll do that where they say, oh, you're going to be accountable in this many years. And then they change the test. So no one actually ends up being held accountable ever, even when there is accountability. So normally you have years, or they start sending in a team to help you with performance, or you have to start a growth plan for yourself. This has never happened in education ever until us.
Okay. And so we find out that, this is some kind of ordeal. Did you guys immediately know because of the meeting you'd had, okay, this is like something that JD's pushing? Or, I mean, Monday, when you found this out, were you like, did you immediately know that it was, or think that it was Prescott pushing this, or did you just not know? And Alexander.
And that's something we should mention is I think a lot of people are letting Scott Alexander off the hook here. Yeah. But honestly, during our meeting, it seemed like he was the one kind of pulling the strings. So JD's getting a lot of heat for this. And I don't know, possibly Alexander is the one that told him to call me that day. But Scott Alexander's kind of kept his hands clean through all of this. So he can easily say, hey, I didn't make that phone call. I don't know about the options. And then just kind of walk away from all of it because he wasn't even the author of the bill. So everybody's putting heat on JD, which he deserves.
Sure.
But let's not forget about Scott Alexander.
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
I mean, Yeah. My impression of the meeting was like Scott Alexander was the dad and JD was like his little kid that he was like telling what to do. That's just my impression. I don't speak for anyone else in the school, but that was my impression.
No, I get it. And what's funny about that is that's kind of the impression that like everybody gets with JD and Scott Alexander, like on everything that they do together, that's kind of like, I mean, so you kind of hit the nail on the head. But the thing is, this actually wasn't the first time that JD has been dealing with this. So now we're hearing that way back, as far back as early as November of 2024, we're hearing that JD was talking to elected officials in Modoc, which, for those that are not familiar, is a little community close to your area. And JD's telling that elected town board member in Modoc that, hey, we're going to shut the school down. And the gentleman in Modoc's like, well, we're not for that. That would be detrimental to our community. And JD had made some kind of statement about, well, we're looking to try to turn this into a nursing home or something like that, which is, when I first heard that, it was like crazy. So you guys have heard that as well?
So go back to 2015. That was what they were talking about, that they were going to use our building for a nursing home. I mean, we heard that was the plan. I don't know who in the county wants that. I don't know if it is someone in the county, but it begs the question, since this is 10 years later and it's the same things on the table. I was not surprised at all in that public hearing when he stood up and said that. It wasn't shocking to us. We've lived this. It's like deja vu all over again.
Yeah. So, and somebody, I think it might have been John Bartlett that put it here. The bottom line is, because there are obviously people over here, and you guys are obviously not blind to it. There are people that are like, yeah, shut them down, whatever. Bottom line is, if you're someone that's against the school corporation or you're for the school corporation, to close the school corporation or this school corporation or any other in the state of Indiana, there is a legal process that the state has to go through, that has to be gone through in order to do that. And the biggest issue here is they're skipping that process altogether. So, that's kind of the biggest issue. So, what are you guys doing attempting to fight back against this?
Well, we're working on getting the best legal team we can possibly get, number one. Number two, we're rallying our parents and our teachers, our administrators, kind of get out in front of it, keeping our kids calm. That's really important right now. Yeah. Because honestly, there's a third thing that people aren't really discussing, and that's in 2015, fear is what hurt us more than anything. We had people saying, this school is going to close. Who wants to put their kid into kindergarten at a school they can't graduate from? So even if Senate Bill 1 doesn't pass, or if it's vetoed and they remove this language, I think JD's hope was that the fear itself, we'd lose another 100 kids. But the difference is that our families don't believe in that. They watched us win before, and they believe within their hearts that we can do it again. And we do believe that we can do it again, because what they're doing is completely unconstitutional. They're violating their own laws.
Yeah.
Is it going to have to get ugly? Absolutely. But we've been there before. We're not worried about that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And it's a shame that it has to get like that. And there's obviously the big thing we've been pushing since we first heard about it. And I will put it up here on the screen. This coming Saturday, April 19th, in Winchester at the Randolph County Fairgrounds, 1885 US 27, Winchester, Indiana, at the Randolph County Fairgrounds from 8:30 to 10:30. Senator Alexander and Representative Prescott will both be on hand to answer questions. Now, I was shocked when I heard this, because this is the absolute least favorite thing that Prescott likes to do. He hates talking to people. He just does not like doing it. And so we were kind of talking about the thing that what my fear is, they're going to come here and they're going to say, okay, this is from 8:30 to 10:30. And that's a pretty long time, because normally they let it go for like an hour, and then they talk for like 45 minutes, and they're like, okay, well, we'll answer questions now. And then right at that hour, they're out. So I don't know how they're going to do that this go. But, my thinking is that they're going to try to eat up the time. And I hope that there are enough people there to push back and say, no. We're here to ask you questions and to get answers. I'm hoping people come out. We need to make sure that people are there. If you can't get there right at 8:30, come at 9, come at 9:30, do whatever you can to be there. And I am wanting to make sure that people are aware, because I know that people work. I know that people have other things they have to do or other commitments. And I'm trying to make sure that people are aware. If you cannot attend, you can watch it live. We will live stream it. We're going to live stream it. It'll be here on the program. There's the link there, which is the bit.ly link, bit.ly/PALU 041925. There is also the QR code there that you can click, and it'll take you right to the link. So please share that information out. But the building that this is going to be in is a monstrous building, so we should be able to pack a hell of a lot of people in this building, and I'm hoping that people do. But I just want to make sure people are aware of that, you know, and to ask and to show that, you know, people are not happy with this. And I think you guys are doing a pretty good job of kind of getting that message out and getting people to rally against you. I know that there have been a couple people that have asked, and I know that, so today there was a big rally down at the State House, and there are all kinds of people that are up in arms because schools canceled school and put it to e-learning, yada, yada, yada. So you guys were originally going to have students that were going to be out Friday. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And so all you've done is you've switched the days, correct? Is that what you're doing? So
yeah.
So your students aren't missing anything. You're not, you know, because I agree with those people for schools that haven't done that. They're just canceling. I'm like, all right, I'm not really know if I'm for that or not. But all you guys did was flip-flop days, right?
Yeah, we flip-flop days, but also our situation's a little different. I mean, we're fighting for the life of our school. So even if we didn't flip-flop days, right, I think it's completely valid, you know, that we made this decision. Our sure. Students got to sit in the front row of that rally and see what this was about. Like, they learned more today in this real life experience than they would have learned in 8 hours at our school
yes.
corporation or any across the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
There are students from a very Republican district who just saw every Republican in the House and Senate hide from us all day long. So you want to talk about a wake-up call to these kids? Unbelievable. It was an unbelievable experience.
So did you guys, were there no representatives came to see you from the Republican side, or there were none?
No, none. We did at the very end of the day catch Representative Porter. So that was like the highlight of my day, was getting to thank him in person for introducing that amendment to try to help us. And so that I really appreciated that we got to see him, and we appreciate so much that Representative Porter and Sue Arrington from Muncie and Chris Campbell spoke on our behalf on the floor of the House.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are all Democrats. I hope right. that our voters, and I've been mostly a Republican voter, but I'm probably not going to be now. So,
hey, listen, I'm a conservative, and I am like big time pissed off at all of my local Republicans in my community in Muncie. In Delaware County, I'm not happy with a lot of them at the state level. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there is a major cleansing of people that we need, and it's just trying to get people to get active and to be willing to step up to vote. Just go out and vote. But then we need people to run for office, and we need people, you know. So it's a whole big long thing. So I mean, can you tell us a little bit, because I'm not really sure about what happens. So for the folks that are not aware of this as well, if they are successful, if you guys are, and I know no one wants to put this out there, but just so people can be aware of what actually happens. If this is successful, if JD is successful and you guys are shut down and consolidated, moved around, what does that look like? What exactly happens?
Well, our plan is to file for an injunction. So we would hopefully just have an injunction, and it would kind of be put on hold as it goes through the court system.
Sure. But so that people can understand like what they're actually attempting to do, like of your, so right now you guys are saying you have 300 or 350 in-person students, and then you've got another 9,000 online. What happens to those 9,300 some students?
Well, according to the state in the bill, they want them to go to Monroe Central and Blue River, are in-building students. But let's be real. Many of those students came from those school corporations for a reason. Sure. We're not going to go back there. They'll likely end up at Randolph Southern and Hagerstown. I would imagine they'll try those schools for a while and see how they fit in there. But there's nothing to say that next year that Randolph Southern isn't going to be written in, because I would imagine that we're just the beginning.
Sure.
I would imagine that K-12, because they are a business, they're probably, and I'm just going to say it because they're being kind of quiet with us. I would imagine they're working behind the scenes for their plan B. And I can't say that I blame them. They employ a lot of people. And just like we are having sleepless nights worrying about our staff, I am sure that they are too. So they're going to try to, I'm sure, find another school, and maybe it'll be a charter. I don't know. I don't know what they'll do. But they're going to try to find a home for those 9,000 students, because if you're in business, that you're in it to make money. And I'm sure that's what they're working on right now. But our community, what does it look like for our community? Modoc, Losanville, Union Township, it'll die. Let's just be honest. No school. Why do you want to live out in the middle of nowhere, right? Like surrounded by windmills and solar panels. Thank you, baby. I love looking out my door to see both of those. So that's just the harsh reality we're faced with. I mean, we have people come from Muncie to come to our school. Their kids come here because it's the best educational option for them. So it's affecting people outside of our community as well. But the sad truth is, without our school, our community is going to die. And that's why I ran in 2015. I didn't want to see that.
And so how many people are on your school board? Are there 5 members?
Yes.
And are you all pretty much on the same page on this? Do you know? Okay.
Yes, we're absolutely on the same page.
Okay. And so, I mean, I'm just trying to kind of wrap up here. I mean, what can people that are not connected to this do? I mean, obviously reach out to your elected officials. You don't just have to reach out to JD. That's the biggest problem I find people have, is they have an issue with a bill or a situation, and they're like, well, we're going to call my state representative and my state senator. Well, that's only 2 people of 150 people. You need to reach out to more than that, because say you reach out and you change their minds, they're just 2 votes of 150. So people really need to think about sending emails and calling and meeting other people. But, what is kind of just final thoughts. What are your final thoughts here for both of you?
Well, my final thought is I hope that people saw on the House floor when Porter entered the amendment and Thompson very clearly said, maybe we need to close a few more. So people need to be worried about that in their communities. They need to be watching what's happening here, because he very clearly said maybe we need to close a few more.
Okay. That's something my brother was saying. It was, how soon after this. So if this goes through, they said that it would be in effect. If nothing happened in the worst case scenario, it would go in effect in July of 2027. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So, when are your school board meetings? Generally, do you guys hold those?
The 3rd Monday of every month at 5 p.m.
3rd Monday of every month at 5 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. And, all right. Let me go here, back here quick and see if there's anything I've missed here in the comments.
The one thing I would like to say is if any of your listeners could start calling the governor, because right now we need a veto. I'm certain that these guys are going to pass this tonight. I think that they're going to throw it on him to make that decision. So what we need people to do is call the governor's office and ask him to veto SB1. And then once we get it vetoed, then we need everyone calling all of the senators, all of the House of Representatives, to tell them not to put the amendment back in, because just because he kills it doesn't mean that they're not going to slip it back in again.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the problem here. That if we somehow get it through to him to veto this monstrosity, that when they all go back to work on this, that we have the same idiots at the control, that put this all here in the first place. So, that's definitely going to be a thing that we've got to deal with. Well, I'm definitely interested in following this and finding out what we can do to help. If there's anything we can do, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. We are definitely, like I said, going to be at the legislative update on Saturday. And if there's anything we can do, we'd love to have you back on or help out. However, if you think of anything, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you both very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our guests from Union Community School Corporation, and that I was very interesting for the folks that have not heard about this story. That's what the situation is. And look, I understand that there are a lot of people out there that's questioning, and I know that there are a lot of questions here, and there are some questions that I definitely I want to answer. So first and foremost, and I didn't want to waste their time with it because some of them was not specifically questions for them. So the solar and the wind, it's got nothing to do with the school, and that wasn't anything to do with them. It's got no money from that goes to the school. That's all connected with the absolutely asinine Randolph County commissioners who were absolute horrible in going through that process. That's absolutely a joke. That's why, in my opinion, Henry County fought the windmills down there and did wonderful down there, and they fighting that, and we're fighting that up here. When you say no questions, I don't really understand. I mean, I guess I don't understand because I don't feel like you're truly understanding what's going on here. It's not because you kept repeating over and over and over, these ladies want e-learning, give them what they want. So first and foremost, I'm of your opinion that I don't believe, and I don't agree with, honestly, you have to approach things with common sense. So generally speaking, when we're talking about a whole lot of teachers taking off a day and saying, okay, no school, we're leaving you kids here to do e-learning. Here's a film strip, whatever. We're going to go down and fight for a raise. I don't specifically think that that's a good idea, but I do agree with both of those ladies there, both of the school board members, that this was an opportunity. You know what I would have done instead of doing e-learning today? I would have live streamed this event. It sounds like a lot of them did. And it's what I would do is I would have made them watch this. I would have made the students invest in what's going on politically. And like they said, you're going to learn more in a couple of hours of watching and participating in what's going on in state government than you would in honestly, probably a whole week of school. I want to see here wait a minute. Wait, we found something here. But when you say no questions, I first of all, neither one of those women were teachers. So they're not teachers. They weren't teaching the students. They are school board members. So they have a little bit different responsibility with what's going on there. They are not in charge of being in front of the students day in and day out. They are the school board members that are dealing with the budget and with the curriculum and yada, yada, yada. Okay, Karen. Okay, but why keep the school open if most of the students are on e-learning? So I would say there, what the situation is it's almost like a last chance effort. So if you're a student, and that's what everyone that said that's been connected with this school, if you're a student that is not doing well at Delta High School, where I went to school with, then you can go through the program and get on an e-learning there. And that's who they are reaching out to. That's the people that they are getting help from. So I think that honestly, if they are able to reach out to those students, that's a good thing. I don't see that being I don't see that being a really, really bad thing. Stumblefoot, I don't believe in me paying for someone else's kids to go to school when I already educate my own. And that's, look, I definitely get that, as far as that goes. The virtual students are being served as much as in brick and mortar. So look, I guess it just depends about how the situation's going. So I will tell you, I know of personal situations that I've been connected to, for example, in the Newcastle School Corporation. And right after all the COVID nonsense, when they were like kicking kids out of school and they were all doing the e-learning crap and everybody was like, this is nonsensical. When the kids went back to school, it seemed like the Newcastle School Corporation did something really strange, where literally if it was going to rain tomorrow, they canceled school. And they were like, okay, we're going to do e-learning. And I thought that was absolutely ridiculous, because what they were doing was you were taking kids who, for the majority, the 99.9% of those kids were all going to brick and mortar school. And that's what the routine was. They were canceling schools and making all of these parents out here having to deal with, okay, now we got to get a babysitter. Now we've got to do this. Now we got to do this. And it was nonsensical. And I didn't like the way that they were doing their e-learning and all of that. It was very frustrating. However, for a situation where you sign up and okay, this is what it's going to be. It is not going to be a brick and mortar inside the school building. This is what we're going for. Then that's, what you're going for. And if it works, I'll be really honest, that would not have worked for me. That would absolutely not have worked for me. I need to be inside the building. I would need to be inside brick and mortar, kids here, teacher up there. That's what I need. So that would not have worked for me. But for the people that works for, God, I don't know. I don't have a problem for it.
My kids do virtual school.
Okay, so yeah, that's okay. So yeah,
and
all
my
right.
Kids started in the virtual school.
Okay.
Because of COVID.
Yeah.
I started.
Wait a minute. Did they go to school in Winchester?
Eddie was the last one to go to the virtual school.
Okay.
Liam didn't speak English.
Okay.
Which was problematic because he was half German, half English when he started kindergarten.
Okay.
So I wanted to be able to be there to help translate. So he started virtual school, so he had kind of a pseudo translator.
Okay.
Okay. Brody was the next because Brody was being terribly bullied at the brick and mortar.
Okay.
And was failing school.
Okay.
This is 8th grade. So he started virtual his freshman year. He graduated 2 years ago with a 3.75 GPA.
Okay.
So from D's and F's to A's and B's.
Sure.
Through the virtual schooling. Eddie, I started in virtual because of COVID, because his assignments took him 15 minutes a week e-learning. I said, screw this. And because we didn't know how long COVID was going to go on.
Yeah, right.
So I started him in virtual school because I didn't know if they were going to cancel it, run him back through this e-learning, which was learning nothing, or what. The kids do well.
Yeah.
They have teachers. Liam's up every morning, 9 o'clock, logging on his computer to make sure he's there for his live lessons with the teacher, answering questions, going through the assignments. And they have a curriculum every day of assignments they're supposed to complete. Eddie's a freshman, so his live lessons are not at 9 o'clock every morning. He has, math 3 times a week. He has German twice a week. He has science 3 times a week, social studies twice a week. Spread out on his calendar, ready to go to attend the lessons, listen to the lectures, work through problems, and they call them Nearpods, which is a list of problems that they're supposed to work out. The teacher can see what they're doing, help correct them, all this stuff. It's the virtual schools. If the parents are involved and paying attention, even if it's just after work, they come home and they go, what did we go over today? They're getting into the lessons. They're looking at things. Parents can work and be involved in their schools, in their kids' education. The virtual schools work. And for kids that are being bullied, it's an opportunity to be able to do their schoolwork without worrying about everybody else.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and like John said here, John said that there are a large portion of these students that go to this have, okay, there's improvement. But remember that 40%, and I don't know if that's 40% of union or 40% of all virtual schooling. I don't know what he's saying there. Have IEPs, and in case, unless you don't have students or you've never dealt with that, an IEP is what is that? Individualized education plan, and so that's students who have some sort of like have autism or have some kind of other learning or maybe behavioral issue, and they don't do well for whatever reason in a brick and mortar school. And so I do know of folks that have children that have these IEPs, and the e-learning schools have done wonders for them. And so that's a good thing. I would have loved e-learning. Go have a cigarette or smoke and join in between subjects. Oh, wait. I did that at brick or mortar. That's amazing. And I'll be honest, my whole thing, I don't send anybody, I don't send any kids to union. I don't have a dog in this fight. My whole thing about this is, if the Indiana legislature created steps through a House bill at some point in the past to deal with how schools are to be closed, then by God, that is how they must do it, period. You don't shove it as some kind of pork into the back end of a bill in the last week of the session because you want to. Wait a minute. Are we saying that thing? Because one of the people said it. Are we hiding that thing that you and Brandon and I have been talking about? Or is there a reason we're hiding that? Are we hiding it, or can we talk about it? Is Brandon on here? Brandon, are you here? Hold on, let me text Brandon here. Hold on. Let me see if Brandon's here. You here? So, all right, I'll say it like this because I don't know if he's got something in his mind he's planning or we're talking about. So we kind of have a working theory on like why this is being pushed, I guess. And there's no proof of what we're thinking about yet. There's just a lot of very strange coincidence. I guess I'll leave it at this. I guess it's probably best not to say yet. But when the school board members are saying like, we don't understand we don't understand who's pushing this. Hold on, Brandon responded. My whole thing is when the school board members are saying, we don't know who's pushing this, there's a very weird coincidence that looks like it could fit. And my whole thing is, again, whatever the reasoning might be, I don't give a shit. We have to do this the right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you a I'm thinking. No, I'm not going to say it just yet. Just FYI. Yeah, I'm going to wait until after the thing on Saturday. My theory is I think we have a working theory of what might be going on behind this, but the whole point of this is they're not following the law. So if you're not following the law, then there's a problem. And it at this point, it doesn't even matter if this is something that you agree with or something you disagree with. The bottom line is, just because your state representatives, just because you're a state senator, just because you're the governor, just because you're the lieutenant governor, just because you're an elected official, does not mean you get to break steps and you get to do things, throw up a Hail Mary because all of a sudden now you want to do something different. You don't get to do that. We don't get to do it. They don't get to do it. So, yeah, what's wrong is wrong. Bottom line, that's it. I don't know how else to say it there. That's what it is. So I don't know. That's that. Meanwhile, while we're here and basically we're getting ready to wrap it up here. I wanted to interview the teachers, and I want to be able to watch what's going on here at the State House and see what's going to happen when they get into talking about Senate Bill 1. So we're going to go a little early tonight, but I do want to say a big thing here. If they don't show on Saturday, we're going to put empty chairs and ask them questions anyway. We will probably get better answers from. Yeah. That John had texted me that. I want to play the part of JD Prescott. If they're not there. The other thing that I wanted to say, and this is also a big Winchester, Randolph County area thing. I got word today, and this is a really big deal. I got word today that the Indiana version, the Randolph County version, the Winchester version of the Volunteers of America, Winchester House, the thing that really kicked all of this off, the thing that kicked off me having a show and talking to y'all, it will be officially shutting its doors in Winchester on May 16th. I got a post that said, getting a text and email I received today has been heartbreaking, but we were officially told today that the VOA Winchester House is closing on May 16th. It is sad news to say the least, this person says. I went into this field simply because of the inexperience I had with the experience I had with addicts. And it isn't cause I struggled with addiction, but cause I was one who loved the addicted and was someone who watched loved ones struggle with addiction. And I knew these women, I knew I wanted to make a difference when it came to these women. But man, I never ever thought I would grow so much passion for my job and what I was doing. Not only did I love my job, but the people I worked with, I became a family. So with sadness in my heart, I am looking for a new job, and I would really love to stay in this line of work, whether it's another rehab or sober living. I have also decided I'm going to be looking into opportunities for schooling to become a pure recovery coach. So if anyone has any suggestions on where to point me, it would be greatly appreciated. As for all of the clients in past and present, I have enjoyed being your RST and getting to know you and your kids and your stories, yada, yada, yada. Listen, this is very strange. I'm all kinds of weird emotions with this, because this, I would like to know truthfully how many women have ran through this door at the Winchester house. I would like to know how many out of that number total did it help. And I'm telling you, it's my belief that the number is staggeringly low. This Winchester house thing in Winchester was such a disaster. It's this whole thing that started me. I've always been politically active, and when I was politically active in the past, what would happen is I would go to meetings, I would do my thing, I would go and vote, I would work for candidates, and then I would go off and live my life. But when I moved to Winchester, and I ran for office there, and I had a once former friend who ran for mayor. Yeah, right. Yeah. The mayor, Sean Byram, had been in office for a year and then slowly had started doing this thing. And we started asking questions and pushing for answers. And slowly we found out that this was not about helping drug addicts. It was not helping citizens of Winchester or Randolph County. Hell, the majority of it wasn't even about helping drug addicts from Indiana. It was Sean Byram wanting the city of Winchester and Randolph County to put the money forward, to foot the bill to the tune of nearly $2 million so he could put this feather in his cap and run for state representative. And I found out that nobody knew anything about this. So I started, that whole time I found out that people weren't going to meetings, and I had started blogging, and around this, by that time I'd been blogging and writing and utilizing Facebook. And it was like around this time that my brother's like, man, you got to start doing videos. So I started putting this stuff on. I started doing videos and putting it online. And that's what started all of this. But it was a crazy ass fight. It was that fight that led to me standing up in a meeting in Winchester and getting arrested for utilizing my First Amendment rights, for utilizing my words, for saying this is a joke. You're all out of order. I got arrested for that, slammed into a wall, my hands twisted behind my back, taken to jail, my liberty taken from me. And so, hellacious, the stress that put on us. There's a whole lot. We lived right across from this. It was just it was a crazy thing. It's now shutting down. And I want to know if the Volunteers of America lived up to their pledge in the Wings program. Did they pay all their money for that? I want to know what's going to happen to the building. I want to know what's going to happen with this. This is going to be a really weird situation. So I might just start going back to some Winchester meetings here coming up because I need to get some answers on this. I did send out an email today to the 5 current counselors in Winchester. I did send an email to them. And the email I sent the email to, let me tell you who these counselors are now. It's hard even knowing who those counselor people are. Nan Harris is one of them. I know that for a fact. Nan Harris is one of them. Okay. Bear Alfrey's still one of them. Let's see here. John Boyd, Terry Bear Alfrey, Jim Nunez, Nan Harris, and John Bruchin. So I emailed all 5 of these jokers. And the email that I asked was pretty simple because I'm sure they're not going to have a lot of information. I'm going to have to try to find out. I just said, I'm wanting to get some information about the closing of the VOA. I'm questioning if anyone from the VOA has reached out to you all about its closing the facility at 313 South Meridian Street. Have they lived up to their responsibilities? Reference the Wings program. What happens with the property after the program closes? So I sent that out today at 5:57. We'll see if they respond back. If I don't have a response back by the 21st, I'll go to the meeting and figure out just what.
My understanding is, because we had asked about this previously, about the Wings program, and that they had made their final payment into that.
Okay, so,
and that they were going to be getting ownership of the property. Well,
I got the ownership of the property for like $1.
Well, all that Wings money went as the sale price.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
So that transferred in January, the end of January of 2024. So they've owned the building for 1 year and 4 months.
Interesting.
3 months. 1 year and 3 months. Remember what we said?
Yeah.
What did we say?
I mean, they would own it for a very short period of time and then
close it up and sell it and bank.
Yeah, make killer money on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a year. They've owned it a year officially.
So I'm trying to figure out when they officially opened. I think they opened officially in September of 2017.
Well, I worked for the paper at the time.
I think they opened
2018, maybe?
Oh, no. Hold on here.
Maybe 2017. I'm sorry. Wasn't it June?
Kristopher H. No, you're right. Because I got arrested in November of 2017, so it wasn't then. So you're right. It was 2018.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I didn't want to say you were wrong. I was just thinking it was 2018.
Winchester House.
It was fall. I want to say October, September, October now. I'm thinking back.
Opening.
Yeah, property prices are high. Why not cash out? Yeah.
yeah, right. And that's a real freaking nice area of town. It's the historic district in Winchester. Okay, let's see here. October 2022. See, date posted. Let's see, 2018. Okay. Let's see here. Because I actually have pictures of when we went and tried to attend the grand opening, and they had police officers around the block trying to not let me in. You should have seen it. It was ridiculous. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. BOA house. Okay. Here we go. Now we're cooking. It was August. It was August of 20. It was August 3rd of 2018, because I'm going to show you a picture here. Here we go. They had all these police lined up and they wouldn't let me come in, but that didn't stop me from sneaking up to the window right when they snapped a picture. And I said, "Hello, can I come in?" See my little head out there? That was obviously, I made that. So this is some idiot talking to another idiot, Jean Van Arks. Right here. Yeah. Look here. What's is the state worried that money is being abused by e-learning at Union School Corp? Like what happened at Daleville School Corp? I don't know. Listen, I'll tell you what we're hearing is that J.D. Prescott and State Representative Scott Alexander are wanting to turn that school into an old folks home, a nursing home, and make bank off of it. So that's what we're hearing. So that's what that was there. I'm gonna see if I got any real pictures here of it, because the thing is, the actual pictures of the police standing around that property was nuts. Chester House. All right, let's look here. And I'll tell you, it was Joan Ashley. Oh yeah, right here. Here's a picture of me being stopped at the door. They wouldn't let me go in. Joan Ashley took this little picture of me. This very little picture. There's John Reed. Everybody remember John Reed? There's that picture. There's that airplane we used to take pictures of Missy's house. Anyways, there's that picture. Let me see here. They had police lined all the way around that building. It was insane. Insane, man. Yeah, Lynn Humphrey another neighbor in the area. This was an open house, and she was like, yeah, like this would encourage people to go in. This would encourage you to go in. There's like 15 cops lined up around the front door. Idiots. Absolute idiots. Complete ignorant assholes. They said it was an open house, but yet, normally when you have an open house, it's something that allows lots and lots of different people to come in. Almost here. Give me a second. Wow. I just hate to think that all of these things are going to be all of these things are going to be killed when all these videos are going to be done away with when Facebook chooses to do away with the way they do their videos. Hold on here. One more second. Okay. Well, all right, folks. That's going to do it for us here. That's that with that. Listen, this is something I'm obviously going to be following. I'm going to be following what the hell's going on with this, because I truly want to know why. I truly want to know what's going on with the VOA, so I'm going to get to the bottom of that. And obviously also put it up here again. I put it up here earlier, but I want to put it up here again. This Saturday, the 19th, 8:30 to 10:30. Be there or be square. We're going to talk to Senator Alexander and Representative Prescott, and you can watch it live with us if you cannot be there. But if you can be there, drive your ass over. Get there 30 minutes late. Get there an hour late. It doesn't matter. Do not miss the fun. Please come out, folks.
Well, your ass better be on time.
I'm going to spend the night. Don't worry about that.
No Bilbrey time.
We're going to be well in advance. That is no issue. Please, 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 please come out to this. This is very, very, very important, folks. We need people to be here. This is very, very, very big. It says 8:30. I set the recording for 8:20. If I can get in earlier, if they'll be open earlier, I'll try to get in, get things going on. But please, please, please be ready. Come on out, and we'll have everything ready to rock and roll. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. You guys take care of yourselves. I'm going to go and watch the rest of this Senate committee. We'll have a report on that for y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Something is going on. I want to say something's going on. I don't know what it is. We'll have a report with what's going on at the State House for y'all tomorrow, and keep you guys posted. You guys take care. Have a great evening. God bless each and every one of you, and we will go from there. Okay, take care. Good night. And hey, Alva, that's good. Good to hear that. Good to hear that. All right, you guys take care. God bless. Good night. Goodbye.